trying to work out why it wasn't working.
Exactly.
Go and spend more money.
Exactly.
And just back and forward, back and forward.
Yeah. And there was points we had our doubts. We're like, oh, is this going to work? Like we had that a few times, but like we just kept going, and then we launched this link report offer, and it was nuts. I mean, so we were buying customers for like a couple £100.
£200 or £300.
Yeah, £200 or £300 we'd buy customers. So we'd lose, like, because once the content market, we'd lose money to sell these reports.
Yep.
Actually, it would cost us to sell these, and be like, that's crazy. How could you spend money, lose money to sell something? That's because when you and people bought that report, they'd spend tens of thousands of pounds on this.
Yeah.
It was just so profitable. We just put them. It was like an engine of the business.
Yeah, it was just buying leads essentially. Buying red hot leads who told us they wanted to buy.
Correct.
And wanted whatever we had to offer.
Yeah. And let's like brag a little bit about some of the revenue numbers. Like we took that business from 60k a month to
293.
290. That was
1,000. Yeah.
290,000 in a month.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it was pretty like there wasn't really anything else going on other than that link report. That was like what we did.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's. I think what's most beneficial for other people to understand about this is like people look at it and they think, oh, it's the what you did that made that work. Like it was just, oh, you came up with some fluke of a link report off and it worked.
Yeah.
It wasn't that. It was the why. It was the fundamentals behind that we just get so clear on. Like we did the basics just so well with that business. You know, we get really clear in the avatar, we get really clear in the position, we get really clear on what people wanted from us and how we could best serve our customers, and then we just created an offer that they couldn't refuse.
Yeah.
And
the Godfather offer.
The Godfather offer, you know, like the thing that they wanted, and that was what blew the business up.
And just created the funnel, started running traffic into that.
Yeah.
Everything was super simple for customers.
Yeah.
And it just worked.
Yeah.
Overnight. Yeah. So like, what do you think the kind of main lessons that you learned through that struggle were?
Yeah, I think when started, and as I've met, you know, more and more successful property, you know, people or marketers, like successful people tend to do the basics really well.
Yeah.
When you get into paid advertisement or any kind of marketing for your business, there's so much like hacks out there, and there's so much like little things, and like picking the right audience and picking. You know, there's always little things. People think they're going to just click something else.
Which button to press on Facebook? I get it all the time.
Right.
Like people just like what buttons do you press to find the secret audience, and what does lookalike audiences, and
they feel like they need to hack the system.
Hack it
to get success with it.
Yeah.
And actually, it's nothing to do with that. Like great businesses understand their customers really well and create great products for them. That's like in essence what a good business does. And I think at the start that was the biggest mistake I made, is I didn't understand that. I just thought that I'd had some success. I didn't even know why I was successful. The reason I'd been successful in my business was because I'd spent 4 years learning about this very niche thing, link building, and I became very good at it, and I started selling it to people, and people started buying it. And that was why it was great, was because I genuinely offered people real value because I had experience in it, you know. Even for people in property just now, like the biggest value add a lot of established estate agents, deal traders have, is just the experience and time, but what they don't know how to do is to showcase that to new customers.
Yeah.
Right, and that was the bit I was missing. I was missing the ability to take that experience, to take the real leverage that I had, and be able to show to the new people like why I'm the best, why I'm great, and why you need to come here, and attract the right people in through the right positioning and messaging that I'm about. You know?
So just to make yourself stand out, different from everyone else.
Correct.
A unique kind of business that isn't just the same as everyone else.
Exactly. And certainly if we talk about property now, like it's a massively crowded marketplace, and that's something that I think a lot of people really miss. Is that like how many estate agents are, how many property deal sources are, why would somebody sell their property with you?
Why would they? That's what you need to try and communicate. Exactly.
And that coming in from a world where there was a really, really big uphill battle for us to we had to stand out in a market where nobody had ever done this before. Like, like nobody had done a Facebook ads funnel successfully for link building. Like,
yeah.
It was such a niche, difficult thing. So us getting an understanding on something that was so difficult and then being able to apply that to property was huge.
Yeah, so exactly. So growing the links business, and then obviously finally cracked things.
Yep.
Sold the business.
Yeah, multiple 7 figures.
So yeah, multiple 7-figure exit on the business. So it was all worth it in the end.
Right.
Like investing in the paid ads, investing in the learning and putting the time into it.
Right.
Was all worth it in the end, obviously.
Yeah, for both of us, we both made a killing out of that entire thing. Like the yeah, I mean, like it wasn't only like I think the biggest benefit of it wasn't, as I say, just the financial aspect. It was what it taught us, because a lot of people ask me now, like, well, why did I move from doing such a successful thing into property? Well, couple of reasons. We'd obviously been in one of the most difficult spaces in terms of marketing to compete.
Yeah.
We were up against other internet marketers in America, right?
Yeah.
Selling an offer that nobody had ever sold for paid ads before. Like, if you could think of a more difficult, we didn't realise this at the time, if you could think of a more difficult challenge to take on, we took it on, right? So when I began to invest in some property from some of the funds, my mum was actually, she'd retired, and she'd bought a few buy-to-lets, and I'd done the same, and I'd obviously had some property friends and things. I went to some property masterminds and stuff, and just purely to invest some money, right? And then I started to learn about other people that were doing estate agency, deal trading, like I saw, they were doing well off it, and obviously I kind of got to the end of this business. I mean, we were one of the top 5 companies in the world at this point for link building. It was a very niche business. We were huge in terms of that space. For me, it's like if you're at the top, you've got nowhere to grow. I wanted to do something else. It was a new challenge. So property just kind of came up as one of those things. And what certainly noticed was how bad, like how easy it was. I felt to compete, coming from a world where things had to be so good to compete. Like, you were up against all these like high level marketers competing on the ad space, up against all these property guys, local agents that are sticking up, sell your house with us, our properties, sourcers, sell house fast, the most basic generic advertising. The landing pages were awful. Everything was just bad. Yeah,
nobody was standing out.
Like, there was a couple of companies that were doing a half decent job at it, but for the most part, what I saw was a huge market, and it still is, like a huge market. Like, how many people have houses, and like everyone's got houses, right?
Got a house.
It's a huge market with massive high ticket upside on every single deal, and nobody could do marketing. Like, almost nobody could do marketing. So I was thinking. Instantly, I was like, I've got a huge edge here. Like, I'm coming into this space. I want to learn property. I want to build a business in this space. I want to invest in assets myself. I came in as an investor, but I'm seeing this blue ocean of the marketing is just going to be so easy for me. Like, I'm not going to struggle one bit.
Yeah.
So that was the first realization that made property coming into a good opportunity. And we were sitting laughing about some of the ads that people were doing, and I was like,
just so basic, just sell. We care about our customers, this type of stuff, sell your house fast, cash within 7 days. It is the most bland, basic stuff that you see across the country, really.
100%.
And when you do the same, when everyone's doing the same thing, everyone's getting average results because you're doing average marketing.
Correct.
So average results, not making money. You've got deals that you can make £5,000 profit on, and people are giving up after spending a couple £100 on ads, or maybe spending a couple of thousands, and then realising how difficult it is, because they don't know.
I mean, what was a big realisation was how commoditised the market was, because when everyone does the same thing, you just become a commoditised product. You just become the same as everyone else. When we were in the marketing business, that's kind of where we were when we started. We were we just sold the same thing as everyone else. There was nothing special, so we were getting average results, the same as everyone else. We could never scale because it's just the same thing. What do you actually offer? And it was when we created a link report and had something nobody had. We completely stepped out of a world of commoditization, because it's not apples for apples. You're the only person that sells that thing.
Yeah.
The only person that has this thing that people need, right? And when you're the only person that has it, what it creates is what I like to call like a blue ocean. Like, customers are going to flock to you instead of going anywhere else because you have something that's better. And then the property market it's probably become one of the most commoditized markets in the world, because and what happens when it's that commoditized, and anyone watching this is an estate agent, they'll know this. Like, the amount you can charge your customers just goes down the plonker.
Yeah.
Like, because the only way you can compete and become better than your competitors is to basically do things at a lower price.
Lower price. Yeah.
It's the only way to compete. So I noticed this, and I was like, you know what, this seems like a good game. I just felt this market as a whole is just a little bit outdated. You know? I think it needed some fresh light. So decided to come in, and the first brand started it was just a general Untitled fast brand. I just made the mistake that everyone else made.
Do you think you went in there and just said, what is everyone else doing, and done the same thing?
Right. And
that's probably the biggest mistake you can make.
Yes, that's the biggest mistake you can make. Exactly. So I came in, I started a very generic brand. At the start as well, there was a lot of a frenzy for just wanting to get started. And the one thing I had against me at that point, that, you know, we've touched on here, is like a lot of what makes the marketing really work is understanding the customer and understanding how to position yourself better than everyone else. I didn't have that understanding yet.
Yeah.
And I feel so jealous for some of the people that have been in this business for 5-10 years. Like, they have the understanding of their customers and who they should target and who they should be, you know, what they should be offering those people. I had nothing. I had literally just came into helping people sell their properties from absolute ground zero. I've never sold a property in my life. So the only option I really had was to copy the marketing of everyone else, and that was what I did. And what do you think happened? Like, it was very mediocre results.
You didn't have clear positioning.
Exactly. So there was no position. There was nothing that made me stand out. But the thing that really changed it was because we had this experience, and you know, we'd done the post-it note thing, and we knew to listen to the customers.
Yeah.
I just like cast this by creating this Sell House Fast brand. What I'd kind of accidentally done was I created this really like wide net in the market. I targeted anyone trying to sell a property, and I was speaking to people. I was getting leads.
Yeah.
Right. I knew marketing well enough to be able to get leads and to talk to people, to create a half decent enough funnel and create a half decent enough ad. Like, out of the guys that did Sell House Fast, you know, that generic thing, I was probably one of the best because I knew marketing, right?
Yeah.
So I did that thing really well, but that thing won't work, you know. Like,
it's not the thing that makes it work.
It's not the thing that makes it work. So, like, but I did that thing well. But what I did is I cast this wide net, and I spoke to enough people that I ended up doing a couple of deals. Like, I did a few flips, you know, I sold a few properties on to some investors. And what had happened was, just by working with everyone, I had began to work with some landlords. And the people I was doing deals with happened to be landlords.
Yeah.
Now, the time I didn't really understand why, it was just coincidence. Done the first couple of just landlords. They tenanted properties. And the reason why I began to learn all of my deals were landlords was because I had been selling them on to other investors. So I actually accidentally had a massive value add to a landlord, because if a landlord's trying to sell a property, they can't sell it to a residential buyer.
Yeah.
It's got to be an investor that buys it. And a lot of typical estate agents don't actually know how to sell tenanted properties, investment properties. Basically, they sell homes, not investments. And just again, from knowing this stuff and understanding people's pain points, I listened to that off of so many people, and I'd done a few deals with some people, and I began to realize, actually, this landlord thing in its own, like, it's probably the way to position myself. This is probably the way to actually stand out. And what we ended up doing was creating this brand called Let Property Sales, which was positioning myself in a way that would target those specific people.
Okay, so that was part of the secret of what is making the marketing work, is getting specific with a specific type of person, positioning yourself towards them. How's that been going for you, like property sales?
Oh, crazy. I mean, like, this journey, I mean, like, I've done this a lot faster than most people. I mean, I only started in property 11 months ago, less than a year ago. Let property sales is only about 4 months old or so. Last month we signed on 15 estate agency clients.
Right. Wow.
We'd literally just registered with Rightmove like 2 months ago.
Yeah. And did all of those clients come from paid ads?
All from paid ads.
Yeah.
I'm a nobody. Like, I only started it 2 months ago. It was just a new brand, and I think this just goes to the testament to show, like, this stuff when you like. The reason why I've been able to make this work is because I know the why. Like, there's not like a secret. Like, people are going to listen to this right now. I can guarantee you there'll be a couple of people that watch this and think, oh, this guy's targeting landlords. I'm just going to go and do that.
No, and Facebook, like go and target the interest and
target
try and
landlords.
Get the ad to just appear in front of them.
Yeah.
But
Gary's saying landlords watch. That's the thing to do, but
there's a lot more to it than that, isn't there?
Massively,
Yeah.
and it's not just about being able to like find a landlord and try and sell to them. Like, you can give me the list, you could give a random guy an email list of every single landlord in the UK, and he probably would make no money off of it.
Yeah.
Because it's not about being able to target to them; it's about being able to convince the person that you can help them.
Yeah.
Right. That's the skill. A cold person and quite a difficult market to sell to as well. Like, a lot of them are old guys. They're quite stuck in their ways. They've been used to estate agents for 30 years. That's where they bought all their tenancy properties from. Like, convincing them to work with a 24-year-old guy.
Not an easy thing to do, is it?
It's not easy at all.
And probably the biggest mistake people make is going to someone and just start to tell them about yourself.
Right.
So what is it you've done differently?
Right.
From that, it's not about you.
Right.
Like, how is it that you're helping them?
Just obsess every single day on the pain points of the people I work with.
Yeah.
And I have this attitude of it's me serving my audience.
Yeah. So you say pain points. Can you just elaborate a bit more about like what you mean by pain points? Like, can you talk about that a little bit more?
Yeah. So pain point is like it's something that an individual, the avatar, the person you're trying to target, is struggling with. Okay.
Yeah.
And there's two ways that people buy things. Typically, it's through pain and through pleasure. You know, typically you're better selling pain. People will. It'll be easier to sell based on that than it is with pleasure. So what you're trying to do at a very high level with if you're selling anything from a marketing perspective, is you're trying to take people from a position of pain and take them to pleasure.
Yeah.
And the more you understand the things that people struggle with, the better you can help them.
Yeah.
And what we've done is we've created the whole business around listening to what that is. So we have solutions like, I'll give you one example. Like, one of the pieces of painful things that landlords go through is when they're selling a property with a tenant in it. They don't want an estate agent coming in and telling the tenant that they're selling. They want to know what they can get for the property first before they sell it. Okay.
Yep.
So it's something I've heard from multiple landlords that I spoke to.
Yep.
You know, was able to target these people and speak to them and hear this. Okay. So what is it I can actually do to solve that problem? Mm-hmm. Well, we now have what's called a confidential viewing service, where we go in as if we're a valuer from somewhere else. We're just a generic valuer. We don't go in with our branding on or anything like that. And we go in and just value the property. That way we're not intruding on the tenant's space, and they don't feel like the property's getting sold at this point until it's been properly valued.
Yeah.
Okay? So that's just an example of like me listening to what some people's problems are in that market and creating an offer that's more compelling, because then they go to the average estate agent down the road or like the average sell house fast company, and they just have this rigorous process where they need to come in with their suit on and speak to the owner, and it's not as good a sales process. And instantly, just by understanding my customers better and having a better solution than other people, I win business.
Yeah. So your approach to creating value is to look at the problems that people are having, figure out how you can solve those problems so that they can get what they want.
Exactly.
Instead of just telling them all about your business, you're actually saying, right, here's this service and here's what it will do for you for your specific situation.
Right.
Rather than just all this really generic stuff that people don't really care about, because ultimately people care about what's it going to do for me.
Exactly. And that's the mistake that most people make, especially estate agents, because estate agents are generally quite arrogant people. You know, they write on there they've got all these awards and they've got this many reviews and that they've they've sold this many houses, and people don't care.
Yeah.
People care about what they're going to get for their property and when they're going to sell it and how quick they can do it, and they're going to pick the solution that they feel gets them that.
Yeah.
And learning about all this other stuff, unless they feel it directly benefits them, they don't care. That's the mistake that most people make in their marketing. So again, all the stuff we talk about here, I mean, the real great position we're in from like a business perspective for like the next 50 years is that we get the fundamental whys of what you need to do for any business to scale it. And what we've done with property is take the exact same principles of learning about marketing and applied it to this space.
Yeah.
And it's just such a valuable skill to know. It's a way of thinking. Like, I can look at somebody's business now. We can look at somebody's business now and very quickly identify like if that funnel's going to work because of the way it's written and the premise of what's behind it and the words that's been said and the copywriting that's on there. We can very quickly pick that up because of our experience and knowing from the crap stuff that we used to put out back in the day. Yeah. Because the thing that makes an ad work is just it's the messaging. It's what you put out.
What do you say in it? Like, what is it actually telling someone on the other end? It's like you were saying before, you've got all these like web designers. Yeah. They're creating sales funnels.
Right.
And when you're online, people are on the phone, they don't have much time, they're just on social media, they're on Google or wherever it is, and they're in a hurry. They don't want to be messing around.
Right.
And maybe they'll click on an ad and they'll hit this page and it just starts talking about, all this experience that someone has and all the awards, all the things you're saying, and it doesn't tell them what it does for them and how it can help them get to where they want to be.
How it takes them from pain to pleasure.
Yeah, exactly.
Doesn't tell them that. Yeah, and that's the mistake, and it's intently understanding that. I mean, we're making that sound very easy here, but get into a position where you can understand that and get it for every single person and do it for any business is the skill, And we've just been able to. We did it in one of the hardest markets in the world, and taking it to an easier market was a lot easier, And that's exactly why the property business has done so well.
Yeah.
And then what happened is, so like created this business, let property sales in. Like, why are we even here working together again? Like, I went to masterminds, on some of them too. Like, we were talking with other property people who were struggling with this exact thing,
Struggling to get clients from ads.
Struggling to get clients, like a lot of them as well. It's funny because like I even look at them and I'm like, a lot of them are in such a better position to how I was when I started in property.
Yeah.
Because they've been in the market and they know the customers. Like, to me, I'm like, oh my God, like, how can you not just like sell something to these people that you know so well? You know your market, you maybe work in a local area, like, or you serve this specific audience of people, it's people going through a divorce or whatever it is. Different property people do different things. Like, how can you not just like get that on a landing page or like create some ads about that? Like, people don't get it. Like, and that amazes us now.
Yeah. Like,
because of how much we've been through, but like, it's crazy like the level of inexperience people have with when it comes to creating paid advertisements.
Yeah, and that's the fundamentals, isn't it? Really understanding your customer. Yeah. Like all the things on all the hacks and the websites and all this stuff seems like the magic that makes it work. Yeah. And there obviously is some really important things in there.
Yeah.
But like you said, like it's the messaging, the customer, like how well can you serve that particular person and communicate that to them.
Right.
That is a massive driving force behind everything.
Sure. Yeah.